Hello, hello. Today I want to talk about cascading style sheets, CSS. I was recently on Mastodon where somebody that I respect and follow was in a bit of a conversation and they said the cascade is a feature, not a bug. And somebody immediately slid in behind them and said the cascade was a mistake, which kind of threw me for a loop. I'm still wondering how they came to that. And I'm sure that there's a whole conversation. They didn't really explain themselves in Mastodon, but it got me thinking about some things, right? Got me thinking about the fact that how can the cascade be a mistake when it is in the name? That's like saying air is a mistake in airplane. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I wanted to go back through and talk about how the cascade has followed us through a lot of different apps, through all of, as long as I've been doing this, 20 years now, even longer. So way back in Quark, and then in InDesign, and now what you're looking at is Affinity Publisher. They had text styles, paragraph styles and text styles. In fact, we see way over here this text tab, and I think I can pull it right out. Brilliant. Okay. And you'll see that there's a little pilcrow on the side, and if we scroll down, the letter A, right? So we have paragraphs, the pilcrow, and text styles. Paragraphs being block level styles, and the A being inline styles. So we have emphasis and strong emphasis, right? But if you look at this, we have base right at the top, and it's not really marked with anything. If we go into body and edit this, you'll see that way down here, it shows all of the different settings. In fact, let me grab a slightly better one, maybe this one here, edit it, and you'll see that it has a bunch of different styles. But right at the start, it says bullet 1. So that's because it's based on bullet 1. Now, if we go to bullet 1, right up here, jumping through this as quick as I can, bullet 1 is based on, look at that, base, okay? So we automatically get a cascade even in publishing apps, to the point where if I'm in any one of these, like on body or maybe this heading 2, and I click add, there's a little add or create paragraph style, brilliant, click it, and what do I get? I get heading 3 because it was heading 2, so it's trying to infer a number there, right? That can be anything. But then based on heading 2, down here it says heading 2, right? I was on heading 2 when I clicked it, so it automatically based it on that. Now I can change this. I can go in here and use the base or body or whatever, but it starts out in a very cascade way where it tries to use whatever I was using right here. And the brilliant part of these publishing apps for books and print and whatnot is that because that's heading 2, if I go and hit OK on this, I'll get heading 2 and then heading 3 right below it, and they're exactly the same. But any changes I make to heading 2 automatically go into heading 3. And you might say, oh, you know, print, who does print, right? Well, maybe you're over here in Pages, right? I'm using Pages today. And of course we have heading 2, right? Heading 2B from when I made it earlier. We can actually just delete that right now. But again, body, caption, these are all paragraph styles. And again, if I click on one of these, you'll see that the styles change. It's bold, it's 18 pixels. And I can click this little plus button and I get heading space 1 because there was no heading 1, it was just heading, right? But if I hit enter on that and look again, nothing has changed here. All these styles are based on that heading. Now the difference here is I don't think, because we can't edit these styles right here, right? As soon as I start making changes to heading 1, it will become out of sync with heading, as opposed to this where any changes to heading 2 will flow into heading 3. But this is where things get interesting. So it got me thinking about what would it look like if we didn't have the cascade? right? What would it look like if we actually didn't have the Cascade? If we said, you know what, the Cascade is actually garbage. Let's not use it anymore. What would that look like? So to give an example, we can actually fake that a little bit, okay? And right here, I'm gonna add a div. Why not? Div is great. I'm gonna add another div called other for no other reason than because it's different, okay? So div number 1, div number 2, great. Down here, we have some styles, okay? And let's pretend for a second that nothing cascades. So as an example, let's start with the body, okay? I'm gonna start with the body. We're gonna go here. I'm gonna add a background image just like this. That URL is going to be, let's go and find a photo really fast. It can be, sure, this one is super, okay? So copy background full and click out of here. And I think it replaces all of this. Yes, it does. Brilliant. Okay. So we have an image. We could do other things with that, but let's look for a second. Right now we have a situation where the Cascade doesn't work, and that is with shorthand. Okay. Anytime we use shorthand, we immediately kill this. And you can see that if I just go background and change the color to, say, black or fire brick, if I can type just like this, fire brick, we get that reddish color, but the image is gone. And that's because background as a shorthand immediately gets rid of the background image, right? It just clobbers it. It resets everything to 0. So this does not get merged down with this. If this was dash color like this, then of course we would get both. We wouldn't see the red because the color comes behind the image, but we would get both. But if we use shorthand, it resets it, okay? The same thing can happen if we unset as we go along. So going back to our div, we have a div right here. And that div is going to be like this. We are going to set a width of 100 and a height of 100, just like this. And a background color of, let's go, tomato. There it is. Now, it looks a lot taller. That's because we have 2 divs. Let's go and add some margin in there, just like this. So margin of 10, okay? There we are. We got it. Now, if we didn't have the Cascade, right? Right now we have the Cascade. So if I go other and I set background color to, say, sky blue, like this, we get sky blue, no problem. But we can fake it, okay? We can fake it with all. And we can do all unset. And as soon as we do this, that blue goes away. Why? Because we've said we don't want to accept anything that was above this. We want it to be as bare bones as possible. We do not care about any styles that came before, which means that we are completely ignoring the Cascade. Now, at this point, in order to get it working again, we need width of 100 and height of 100, like this. That's not going to work because, hey, we unset everything. So we actually need to display block too. And now it's back. It's not back right. We need that margin of 10 again. And now we are back to normal. So this is what it looks like if we didn't have the Cascade. Okay, we would have to write all of these styles every single time, okay? And that would just become annoying. There's no way to merge this in. Maybe if they had ignored the Cascade, maybe they would have set up some sort of import where they import div like this to get those styles in, kind of like a mix-in. Who knows, right? But as it stands, without something like this, we can't have any of this, right? We need that Cascade. So bring it home. The Cascade has existed for a very long time, and for good reason. It saves us from writing a lot of extra stuff, whether that's in Quark Express from a long time ago, or Adobe InDesign, or Affinity Publisher, or CSS, okay? And if we didn't have the Cascade, it would almost certainly make CSS as a language untenable, right? We just couldn't do this. Like, without having to rewrite this, we'd be finding ways to code around it. SCSS would be just such a huge thing with mix-ins, right? Trying to sort all that out. So we need the C. The C is very important. The Cascade is so important. And yes, I too believe that it is a feature, not a bug. Think different? Have comments? Let me know. Hit me up in the comments and let's have that conversation. I'm very interested to see and learn why you think it isn't a feature. Why you might think that the Cascade was a mistake. So please don't hesitate to put those comments in. I'm looking forward to them. Thanks all.